And I think the next few fights from now on, I think people are really going to be watching me, and I think people are really going to understand the kind of heat that I want to bring this year and the kind of fights that I want.
First of all, introducing our challenger. Coming out of the blue corner. He's going to step in, and he does. It's all over. Let's bring on the boom. This is Eternal MMA.
All right, everybody, thank you for joining me and welcome back to another edition here on the Eternal Insiders Podcast. We are being joined today by not only the man that won the 2023 Fight of the Year last year, but he's just about gone ahead and already penciled himself in for the Knockout of the Year. And we're only one card deep, but a vicious knockout last week at Eternal 82 by the way of some Matt Brown-style elbows. It's Scrappy MMA's own Khan Deatta, kind enough to join us on the program for the very first time. Khan, how are you enjoying this win, brother? That was some highlight reel stuff. How is it? How you sort of soaking it in? How's this week been for you since that massive win, brother?
Yeah, the week's been like a bit slow since the fight. After the fight, I had a bit of a sore neck, so I haven't trained too much since the fight. I've been nursing a bit of a sore neck. Not too sure if that was from the fight, but after I did some training on Monday with someone, I think I tweaked it a little bit. Apart from that, the week's been good, man. Just been working a bit, taking it easy, probably get back into it next week and start going hard again. So it's been pretty cruisy.
I mean, we just spoke before we started the recording, said that, obviously you're doing PTing and, always on the grind, always working everything. But, I mean, did you get at least a little bit of downtime after the fight to sort of soak in the win a little bit? I know you had a lot of people in attendance. Did you get to celebrate? Did you get to enjoy it a little bit?
Yeah, 100%. So I had I think I sold the most tickets there. I sold about 170 tickets. I would have had about at least 30 to 40 really, really good friends. So after we went out, went to the Claremont, had a few drinks and stuff. So I did celebrate quite a bit. Obviously, the next day, Sunday, I woke up and I went and got burgers and did the usual and got a lot of food. So I did do a bit of celebrating, I would say. But then Monday, I was straight back to work, back to doing classes, teaching some Muay Thai and stuff, and just the normal stuff I usually do.
Nice, man. I mean, it must be nice to sort of have a couple of beers and get a couple of burgers and everything. Just relax for that couple of days, eat some nice food.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously the weight cut ahead of the fight, that stops you from doing that. So it must have been nice just to get a little bit of that, we call it a cheat meal, but a celebratory meal, I guess, after the fight and just unwind.
Yeah, exactly right, man. That's one thing when you're obviously cutting a lot of weight, you can't eat a lot of the foods that you usually like to eat. So, I mean, after it, it's a nice reward just to go ham for about a week. Can't take it too far though, because usually if you eating too much, then your weight goes back up. And I want to try and keep my weight down a little bit, so it's not too hard next time to cut. Even though my next fight probably won't be until June the 8th, so I've still got a bit of time, so it's all right. But yeah, it should be fun.
Sounds good, man. I'm glad you got to enjoy yourself. I mean, it was definitely worthy of enjoying yourself with that highlight reel knockout, and we'll talk a little bit about that a little bit later on in the pod. But, I mean, this is your first time on the show here, man. So, just in terms of, people that aren't as familiar with you, can you give us a bit of an insight in terms of, yourself as a mixed martial artist, like how you kind of got your start in mixed martial arts? When did you decide you wanted to do this professionally? A bit about Khan Deatta as the MMA professional.
Well, my martial arts journey started when I was about 14 years old. I went down to the local kickboxing down the road from my school. I started kickboxing from 14. Had my first fight as a Muay Thai fight when I was 15. I ended up fighting for about 7 years Thai boxing. I had 28 fights in Thai boxing. Then when I hit around, I think I was 21, I decided to have a break. I ended up working for a couple of years, and then ended up finding Scrappy MMA that was down the road from my scaffold job. And I saw Daniel Williams, he was training out of that gym, so I thought that could be a good option for me. And I knew Dan, obviously, from the Muay Thai days as well. So I ended up trying Scrappy.
Mini T? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, Mini T, yeah, that's the one. Yeah, because he was obviously a Muay Thai guy, so I saw him doing MMA, and I thought, I might give it a crack. So I ended up going down there, and I think it was 3 months into training, I ended up having my first fight against John Fraser, and then from there on, just kept hustling away. I actually ended up starting FIFO when I first started MMA as well, so I wasn't 100% as hungry as I reckon I was as now, because I was working FIFO, doing week on, week off. My first 2 pro fights, I actually worked FIFO, and I had to do the week on, week off for the whole camp. But ideally, it wasn't the best thing to do, I think, as a professional MMA fighter. So I ended up taking the jump last year, and I quit FIFO. So now I've been FIFO free and pretty much working for myself, and only like training professional MMA fighting and all that kind of stuff now for about a year and 3 months. So I feel like my mindset and my goals now and what I want is a lot more now than it was before. Now I've really turned my head around and really trying to go hard now. So yeah.
I mean, you talk about a rough introduction, man. I mean, you're stacking the odds against yourself as far as like working FIFO and then trying to fight and do camp at the same time. But for those that don't know, I mean, Khan Deatta started his pro career fighting against John Martin Fraser for your pro debut, who's our middleweight champion now. So, I mean, like I said, that's a pretty rough sort of way to start, man, to sort of jump in there and not sort of give yourself the time and well, I guess the resources and everything to be able to put in a sort of full camp against a monster like that. But I mean, it's also, I guess, a testament to, the guys that you've already sort of faced on the professional level. And it's certainly a sort of a good thing now that you're kind of giving yourself more the time to, I guess, put all your stock into this game. And I'm guessing, like, have you got to that sort of point that this is what you want to do going forward? Like, are you all in on this career? Like, where are you sort of at this point?
100%. I'm all in. I'm 27 years old now, so I feel like I'm not too old yet, but I'm at the point now where it's like I'm 27. I'm turning 28 next Wednesday. For me now, I feel like this year is going to be my year. I feel like this year I have to go as hard as I can and take on all the guys and try and get to the top of Eternal as fast as possible, because I do have the dream, obviously, to go to the UFC or fight on a big promotion like One Championship or PFL. Ideally, that's where I want to go. So that's where I'm trying to go this year, or potentially next year, or whenever it comes.
I mean, you started off with the right way, man. An absolute bang to start 2024. And I mean, not only for yourself, but I mean, you just talked about obviously joining Scrappy MMA, and what a night for Scrappy MMA for Eternal 82, man. I mean, you guys rolling in deep, no less. Rod Costa obviously defending his bantamweight belt. I mean, Wes Kappa coming in, doing his thing, Toby Meach, Adam Lawrence. I mean, what a night for you guys. Like, that must have been a pretty cool thing to, not only get the win for yourself, but I guess be able to celebrate that with, your teammates that you go to war with in, day in, day out.
Yeah, there's nothing better than, obviously, seeing your teammates win as well, because all those guys help me. I help them. Everyone helps each other. So at the end of the day, you just want to see all you guys win. And the best thing about it is seeing your coaches so happy as well, because I think we had 5 wins, 2 losses. Every pro won, so that's the main thing as well. Obviously, the pros, you want them to win. Obviously, amateurs, you want to win too, but for them, their record can get wiped, and then pros, where it really matters, right? So now it was good to make everyone happy and see the other boys win too.
100% good to get a clean sweep for the pros and for the amateur boys to get their licks in too and look towards their pro careers. So no doubt there's always more coming down the pipeline for Scrappy MMA. Plenty of boys there, and I'm sure the girls looking to sort of put their hands up for the next fight too. So let's watch this space and see what more comes from Scrappy MMA. But based on what we saw at Eternal 82, I mean, we're absolutely humming. I mean, we know the professionals we got in the UFC, like Jack Della Maddalena and everything, leading the charge. So a lot of cool things, and I'm sure a lot of good resources for you to be able to mix it up with in the gym too, man. I'm just curious, for this fight, coming into this one, did you sort of feel like, was there any extra, I guess, like added pressure for yourself, coming into this? I mean, you came off the fight of the year, last year against Samar Janahara. That was a split decision loss, 1-3 as a professional. Was there any sort of, I guess, added pressure for you to come in and, not only get this win, but, sort of make a statement at the same time?
Yeah, 100%. I never try and put too much pressure on myself with fighting. Like, I just believe if you train as hard as you can, you do all the right things, do your jiu-jitsu, do your wrestling, do your striking, your entries. If you do everything, what else can you do? You go on there and you fight to your best. But at the same time, yes, there is always a little bit more pressure. I like to bring a lot of people as well, so there's some more pressure. But sometimes for me, I think the pressure can make me fight better. It makes me more hungry. So yeah, there definitely was, because I was 1-3 coming into it as well. I think my record obviously doesn't do me as justice as well. Like 1-3, people probably look at that and they're like, oh yeah, 1-3. But I think I just had a rough start. And I think the next few fights from now on, I think people are really going to be watching me, and I think people are really going to understand the kind of heat that I want to bring this year and the kind of fights that I want.
I mean, good luck to anyone who wants to just take a look at your pro record and think that's easy pickings, right? I mean, like we said, coming off the fight of the year last fight that you had, split decision loss, so very close there. And we know how you started your pro career fighting against a monster like John Martin Fraser. So I think we talked about this on the podcast the other night with Darren Martin, and we said that, you're not a 1-3 fighter. Hell, you're not a 2-3 fighter in terms of your skills and the ferocity you bring to the cage. So I'm sure, you've set yourself up for a nice 2024 with a big win like you have. And you'll look to continue that momentum going forward and start getting the record in the green there, no doubt. Just one last thing on that fight that you did have last year, that incredible fight of the year, man. I mean, it was no doubt about it. It was 100% fight of the year. I'm pretty sure it was fairly unanimous across the board. What was sort of the emotions for you, I guess, after that? Was it sort of a bittersweet feeling, especially considering, one judge gave it to you, end up winning the fight of the year and, obviously gaining a lot of fans in the process? What was that sort of feeling like for you in the days after?
Yeah, that one sucked. I mean, I actually had an injury that fight as well, but I wanted to fight so bad, so I ended up fighting. I couldn't actually, not many people know this, but I actually couldn't wrestle the whole camp as well. But it didn't obviously affect me because I knew Sarmad had a lot of striking fights. I was thinking, it's going to be more of a striking fight anyway. So I obviously went ahead with it. And then because it was such a close fight, I still actually believe I won the fight. I think I did more damage. I thought I won and stuff, but I mean, I did look at the fight after. It was very close. It was a bit disheartening that I lost, but at the same time, I think people got a real good look at a bit more of my game because I had the fight from my back a bit. People could understand. I still don't think people understand it. Yeah, exactly. Like my wrestling, from that fight, my wrestling has got a shit ton, a load better as well. And obviously this fight recent, I didn't have to wrestle that much either, but I did wrestle a little bit. So I got to show a little bit, but there's so much more to come, from me anyway, from that side as well. So, yeah.
I mean, we come off that, and like we said, you come in and make an absolute statement, with a massive knockout win with some pretty emphatic elbows down the pipe. I mean, it certainly got me out of my chair. I know I got a lot of other fans at the stadium out of their chair and everyone else watching at home. I mean, just the highlights that are circulating around on social media, man. I mean, it was super vicious. Can you talk us sort of through that moment of knocking him out, what you sort of felt in the moment when you landed those couple of rights and then ultimately sort of finished him with the left and seeing him go down? What are you sort of feeling at that time, in terms of seeing him go down? Are you aware that he's out straight away? Run us through that moment of getting a knockout like that.
Well, I knew once, because at the start he tagged me and it sat me down for a little bit, but I didn't feel too phased. I sat down and he kind of grabbed the guillotine and I was like, I could hear my coaches anyway, and they said, oh yeah, watch out for the guillotine. But the guillotine was never tight anyway. I kind of just grabbed the hands, peeled them off. And then once I stood up, he turned me. He had me on the cage for a couple of seconds, but I managed to turn him pretty quick. And I was just thinking from there, I could see my corner, and they said, just chill here for a bit, just tag him up a bit, punch him a bit, a few elbows. And I was thinking, all right, we'll try get a few elbows. And I knew once I got one right elbow, I kind of knew that. I was like, okay, he's relaxing way too much on this elbow. I don't think he understands. He's not taking it as serious. So I knew I got one elbow in. I think I managed to clinch up for a little bit, and then I tagged him a few more times with elbows. And then from there, I was kind of thinking I think I can get him here. And then as soon as I got him with two right elbows, his head went a bit limp, and I could just see him. And then that's when I put the left elbow over the top, and it was a solid bloody elbow as well. And I could see him going down, but I wasn't too sure as he was falling down if he actually was properly out. That's why I threw another punch on top. I actually missed him. I think I hit him in the chest, but I definitely think once I saw him and I hit him on the ground, I could tell that he was pretty much out for about 3 or 4 seconds. So the ref pulled me off pretty quick. But there's no better feeling, man. I put 12 hard weeks of work into that camp. It was a long camp, and just to get the win, there's no better feeling. It's just, hard to explain how good it is. I love the feeling. It's the best thing ever.
No, I mean, you did say that in the cage after the fight. And I mean, I imagine it feels good sort of at any time. But I mean, you couple that with the fact that, you're in Perth, it's your hometown. you know, your gym's there, you know, all your friends and family. You said at the top of the show, and you said after the fight as well, that what you sold about 170 odd tickets to that show. You know, so all your friends and family in attendance. I mean, you couple it with a knockout win like that, like, you know, what's even that feeling like, you know, in those moments after the knockout? Like, you get up on the cage, everyone's going batshit crazy for everything. I mean, that must have been a feeling, you know, all unto itself, man. Like, I'm imagining that's something you can't describe.
Yeah, I feel like I'm back in the medieval days where you're fighting in the Colosseum, you're fighting for your tribe or something. Like, I don't know, like, because I had so many people there, and a lot of those people that come out and support me, those guys also help me through my camp as well. Like, some of those guys are real smart, and like, they help me with my food. They've helped me with other stuff, like for money as well, to like get some training or supplements or anything. So all those guys, literally, they're there because they really, really want to support me. Like, those guys mean a lot to me. So like, every time I fight, I do fight for the people as well, because like, those guys make me want it even more bad. So it's just, yeah, it's obviously good to get as many people as possible. That just gives me more and more energy, and it just makes me more wild just to get the win for them, you know, especially being at HBF Stadium, the stadium itself. Like, it's a dream come true. I remember the first time I watched the fight there, I think I was watching Danny Green fight someone, and like, I just remember the atmosphere, and I was just thinking, like, this place is sick, like, this would be sick to fight at. And then it was like 10 years later, I started doing MMA, and happens to be that HBF is the stadium they use. So yeah.
No, I mean, if every single Eternal card was the HBF Stadium, man, I mean, like, you know, I'd sign me up for that every day of the week, because, you know, I know we talk about, obviously, Queensland, sort of the spiritual home of Eternal MMA, but, I mean, every time we go back to HBF, I mean, it's just sell out after sell out, and, you know, more tickets, I think like 3,600 odd, like, for this fight. So, you know, just like what a scene that is, and it looks incredible there. Like, it looks like a proper show, man. You know, it's UFC Fight Pass, the lights, the production, everything. Like, I can only imagine what that must feel for a fighter, but also to, you know, be doing it in your hometown in front of your friends and family. You know, must be quite a buzz, man. And, you know, like we said, it sets you up for a big 2024. You know, you get a nice win to sort of start the year and everything, and you know, put that sort of bittersweet taste, you know, out of your mouth from the fight of the year. You know, what do you hope for in terms of, if you think about this year and how you'd sort of like it to go in a perfect world? Do you have an idea of what you'd like to do in terms of maybe how many fights? Like, do you have a vision for what the plan is for 2024? Or are you just sort of going to take it a fight at a time and sort of see how it comes?
Yeah. So like, I mean, I think everyone has a vision and like goal at the start of the year, exactly how they want it to go. Last year I had the same. Obviously, like, last year I wanted to fight 3 to 4 times MMA. I only got 1 Muay Thai and 1 MMA, and because I had so many injuries. But yeah, this year I do have a goal. My goal this year was to fight 4 times MMA, so I have 4 MMA fights. I've already had 1, so I want to have 3 more. But ideally, win them all, and then try and go for that title shot at welterweight. Like, I want that title shot, like everyone else does, right? That's what we all want. So I'm going for that.
Sign us up, man, for whatever come next for you. Because, I mean, again, come off the fight of the year for 2023. And, I mean, like we said, you've damn near already penciled yourself in for knockout of the year. I mean, we've got a few Eternal shows to come, so let's not get out ahead of ourselves. But if you're planning on another, you know, 3 odd fights this year, I mean, who knows? Maybe we see Deatta line himself up for a couple of ballot entries for knockout of the year for 2024.
Yeah.
So, very exciting fighter, man, in the cage. And it's always it's a pleasure to sort of see you in there. Very much looking forward to what comes for you next. And hey, thanks, man, for joining me on the pod for the first time. Pleasure to talk to you. And we'll see you on the next one.
No problem, bro. Too easy, man. It's a pleasure, man. Thanks for that. It was good. And yeah, I'll see you next time.